Welcome back to the channel, man. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button if you rockin' with Young Dolph, man. Y'all go ahead and put them dolphin emojis in the comment section. Put the fish, the whale, the shark emojis if you rockin' with Young Dolph. Let's start this off, man. Yeah, 1090 Jake, man, the only way that he got the paperwork and the footage from the Young Dolph Yo Gotti thing, he wasn't even supposed to be the one that saw it. Whoever showed 1090 Jake the Dolph footage, he's not supposed to be doing that, man. So at the end of the day, why isn't it that his family get to see the footage of what happened to him first? I'm tired of all this stuff that's been going around, man. Everybody getting exposed. The same person who's been exposing everybody paperwork is the same person who's been the snitch the whole entire time, man. So that's why I'm not surprised that the people found 1090 Jake paperwork. Charleston White said it himself, man. You got to watch out for the people who be trying to say that they got the information on everything, but they the whole time, they the ones that's hiding something from the whole world. 1090 Jake knew that he had to get out of his old hood in Boston and move down to Florida. It's for a reason, because them dudes said that they didn't want him around there. You got to understand, man, about doing your research about how a lot of people who used to hang out in a certain place and now they're in a whole different place is because they either got kicked out, they got ran out of town by their own crew. You got to understand, this is the same thing that keep happening to CMG in Memphis. Yo Gotti, he got ran out of his crew. He got ran out of the whole town and everything like that. That's why they have Moneybag Yo. They moved him and his whole setup to Atlanta. This is why a lot of people, they get kicked out of their hood because they no longer is welcome. A lot of times, the stuff that they did, the stuff that they said and snitched, all these rappers, they started telling, man. Lil Baby told when he did back in the day. So did a lot of the dudes, especially the ones that's trying to expose all the paperwork. And when Finesse 2 times got locked up, man. If y'all rocking with Young Dolph, I want you to comment down below. Put that dolphin emoji, because the Dolph footage should have been going straight to the people who's trying to find out everything that happened with this. The ones that know exactly if it was a setup or not. And at the end of the day,
it's a lot of people that was looking at the situation like the reason why Yo Gotti exposed 1090 Jake and called him out about everything is because the footage that was seen showed the Bentley truck driving by, and they didn't want 1090 Jake to know about the Bentley truck because that will become main news on everybody's channel and everything. So what y'all gotta understand is that this whole entire, all the rappers and everything, they come back, they pay somebody to expose 1090 Jake paperwork. As soon as all the rappers started finding out what 1090 Jake did, the whole thing that he wrote to the warden, they got on FaceTime with 1090 Jake and they pressed him about why did he write down with his own handwriting. He did a handwritten note telling on a whole nother person while he was locked up with them, man. And he said that the person that did it to him, that he told on, gave him $150 across the face, and that he gave him $150 across the face back. But when they caught up and the blogs brought that guy out on FaceTime, he had no cuts, no traceable marks from anything that 1090 Jake said. So clearly somebody was capping in this whole entire situation. Somebody like 1090 Jake was trying to cover his tracks about how he actually just got exposed to the whole world, about how he was the one that was telling the whole entire time, while he's trying to call out everybody else for their own business. He should have been worrying about his own business, man. This is the reason why you can't be trusting a lot of the people who try to say that they're the ones that keep it real in 100 and that is and they're the ones trying to show you everybody else's downfall. But then when it comes to their own, they still denying it. 1090 Jake still denied the fact that he told, even though it's literally in his handwriting, the paperwork. He admitted to on camera that he said he had to write it to the warden to explain the situation when he was in. The fight that happened between 1090 Jake and his inmate roommate is not something that he should have never wrote down on a piece of paper and told a whole officer about if he wasn't planning on coming out and starting a whole entire news show exposing the paperwork on everybody that's been through the same entire situation. So he should have thought about that before he made that note, because one day it was going to come back to bite him in the back, man. And he got caught red-handed simply due to the fact that when Yo Gotti and them Finesse 2 times and Moneybag Yo, they all got together. They had the person look up 1090 Jake's whole entire file, everything he did, any complaint that was made against him. And they found out that it was just a few years back where 1090 Jake got into an altercation. He got into a fight with this other dude. And instead of like, you know, taking it up like grown men and going about their way and everything like that, he basically went right to the authorities. He went and wrote a letter talking about how they should give the guy more time, that they need to put him in a harsher camp and everything like that, man. A lot of people was reading this and they couldn't believe that this is what the guy who exposes paperwork for a living actually said in his own paperwork. He didn't think that a lot of people was going to be able to get through the sealed records and actually find out what he snitched about. And he's still coming on camera talking about, yeah, he did it. He's the one that he wrote that. But he's trying to make it seem like it was a certain situation where snitching was allowed. At no point is at all where him telling on the paperwork like that from something that happened while he's inside the system is different if he was a civilian, if he was this or that. But the fact that 1090 Jake claimed a certain type of whole entire set, he claimed a certain clique, man. All these people are clicked up. They're not just lone wolves. So he's clicked up with the group. The group that he's clicked up with does not promote snitching or anything like that. And 1090 Jake is not a civilian because he's got the tattoos that show that he's clicked up with all this. He's wearing the red bandana around and everything like that. And so those are the guys that's looking at 1090 Jake like, wait, hold a minute. Why are you trying to represent us? And whole time you writing paperwork to the warden, talk about get this guy more time, talk about this dude try to fight me and all these other things that he said that a lot of people was exposing him for. And this is why he's been keeping quiet this whole past week, man. After he got his chain taken by Finesse 2 times and then they exposed his paperwork, 1090 Jake just went downhill from there, man. And this is the reason why he had to get a backup chain made with the moissanite, due to the fact that he knows that all the rappers that he was exposing in the paperwork were going to try to find out where that chain is. If he was getting it cleaned at his jeweler that he shouted out, they was going to go to that jeweler and basically try to get it out the back, a whole vault and everything like that. This is the same thing that happened to a lot of the jewelry shops that end up, the rappers' chains end up getting taken when it's getting cleaned, when they drop it off somewhere, when they supposed to be getting it cleaned, the icebox, and the dudes ran up on the icebox guy in the minivan. What y'all got to understand is that this whole thing was played out. It was only going to last so long until Yo Gotti and Finesse 2 times exposed 1090 Jake paperwork, because the person who exposed his paperwork, you know that they had to have been connected to the dudes that 1090 Jake was just recently feuding with, man. When 1090 Jake was beefing with Finesse 2 times, this is where everything started. Finesse 2 times has millions of dollars already and everything like that. So he used some of that to basically get the info on 1090 Jake, because 1090 Jake was getting info on Finesse 2 times. So it's a two-way street. All Finesse 2 times had to do was call the public records of whatever county it was or whatever department that 1090 Jake had got into that situation with that first time when he snitched. Once they called that, it's all public info. So if you paying taxes and everything, you could get all of that emailed to you with the flash drives of all the footage of 1090 Jakes in the interrogation room with the actual guys that was on the case. The investigators asked 1090 Jake in the interrogation room who was the guy that attacked him, who was the guy that did this to him, and he went ahead and wrote an entire report explaining everything detail by detail, word for word, so that he could pretty much get the guy that he was into it with the most maximum time that he could get, because they were both behind the bars, and instead of just doing it each time, they were trying to actually tell on each other. This is why you can't be getting into it with people that be doing all that kind of stuff, because at one time they end up acting and switching up the whole thing. They'll act like it's supposed to be a one-on-one, but then they'll try to get somebody to jump you. And this is why a lot of people got to stay with their burners, basically, because they can't trust that a dude these days and age is going to actually have the morals and the ethics to do a one-on-one throw in the hands, right? And so when they try to catch the fade and they get jumped, this is why people will keep the pole and they don't trust nobody. So at the end of the day, you can't trust the person that was exposing all the paperwork, because they got paperwork on them too. Who watches the watchmen? That's an important lesson for everybody to learn from this. Who's supposed to watch the people that is supposed to be the actual ones keeping an eye or exposing the paperwork? You see what I'm saying? So this is why a lot of times People don't trust the janitors. Who cleans up what the janitors' mess is? You see what I'm saying? Who maintains the maintenance man? Who watches the watchman? Who police the police? You see what I'm saying? All of this goes hand in hand, and 1090 Jake played right into the hands of it, man. And the fact that they exposed his paperwork is no surprise, because he's doing the same thing to them, and it just came back to bite him with the karma situation that happened with this whole entire thing that he got exposed about.